everyone, welcome back to Class 6 Science. Components of food. In this chapter, we are going to discuss what our food is made up of and the reasons for eating a variety of foods, the consequences of not eating different types of food, and the components of a balanced diet, and also to identify the different components of food and the symptoms and causes of the deficiency diseases. These are the learning objectives we are going to learn in this chapter. Now let's get into the chapter. Okay students, we know that all living beings need food for their survival and growth. We consume different types of food in a day. Isn't it or not? Are you consuming the same food every day? No, we eat different varieties of food every day. Okay students, why do you need to eat different types of food? Students, two different diet charts are given here. Which one do you think is healthier? Now look at the diet chart 1. Do you eat chocolates for breakfast? Or toffees on the way to school? Biscuits during the morning break? Burgers and french fries for lunch? And samosas on reaching home? And butter chicken for dinner? Now look at the diet chart 2. Morning breakfast we take milk, porridge, toast and egg. Or you can take idli, dosa, idiyappam, like that food you will take. And fruits during the morning break. And for your lunch usually you have vegetable curry, rice and yogurt. And in the late afternoon usually you have some fruits or nuts. And for your dinner you have some mustard leaf curry with roti. And before bedtime you have milk. Okay students, now think which one is healthier? Diet chart 1 is healthier or diet chart 2 is healthier? Of course, diet chart 2 is healthier than diet 1 chart. Students, do you eat healthy food? Do you consume all the essential nutrients required by our body? What are nutrients? And why do you need them? Let us learn more about nutrients. Food contains various chemical substances required by our body, and these chemical substances are called nutrients. Generally we know food is made up of different components, and that different components are called nutrients. And these nutrients in the food allows us to live healthy and grow. Nutrients can be broadly classified into 5 groups. They are carbohydrates, which are the energy giving food. Next type of nutrient found in food is fats. Fats provide additional energy and keep us warm. The next type of nutrient is proteins. These nutrients needed to make new cells for growth and to replace old cells. Or in other words, you can say they are needed to build and repair tissues. Next type of nutrient is vitamins. Vitamins are essential for the healthy functioning of the body. And the last type of nutrient is minerals. Our body also needs small quantities of some elements such as sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, chlorine, etc. These elements are referred to as minerals. Okay students, what are the main 5 types of nutrients in our food? They are carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins and minerals. Now we learn all the 5 types of nutrients one by one. First we will learn about carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are the major source of energy for our body. It is an energy giving food. Carbohydrates are of 2 types. They are sugar and starch. Sugar is a simple carbohydrate and starch is a complex carbohydrate. And sugar is a quick source of energy. Some natural sources of sugar are fruits and honey. And the starch is made up of several sugar particles linked together. It provides energy over a long period of time. And the starch is found in foods such as rice, wheat, maize, bread and potatoes. Okay students, how these carbohydrates are absorbed in our body? Carbohydrates are broken down into sugar and this sugar is absorbed in the blood and sent to the various parts of the body where it is converted into energy. Okay students, where we get this requirement of carbohydrates? We get most of our requirement of carbohydrates from plants. Plants produce carbohydrates during photosynthesis and store them in the form of starch, sugar and fats. These are the foods rich in carbohydrates. And these carbohydrates are the most common nutrients in food. This is about the carbohydrates. Next we learn the next nutrient, that is fats. Fats are another type of nutrients present in the food. Children, we can store the fats in our body, but we cannot store the starch or sugars. And the main function of fats is to provide additional energy and keep us warm. When we eat more carbohydrates than the body requires, they are converted into fats. And the fats are stored under the skin and around various organs like the liver and kidneys. The stored fat can be used whenever there is an extra demand for energy. Fats not only serve as a bank of energy but also prevent the loss of heat from the body and cushion the internal organs. Fats are generally an important nutrient only, but we should not consume more. Fats are of two types. They are saturated and unsaturated. Saturated fats are solid at room temperature and unsaturated fats are mostly liquid at room temperature. And these are the foods rich in fats: refined oil, ghee, mustard oil, cheese and cream. Now we learn the main difference between the saturated fat and unsaturated fat. The saturated fats are solid at room temperature, but unsaturated fats are mostly liquid at room temperature. The saturated fat found mainly in animal products such as butter, cream, cheese, ghee, and some plant products such as coconut and palm oil. And the unsaturated fat found in fish and oil from olives and nuts or seeds such as rapeseed, groundnut, sesame and mustard. These are the main difference between the saturated fat and unsaturated fat. Anyway, our body needs fat, but consuming too much of fat leads to a condition called obesity. Now we learn the next type of nutrient, proteins. Proteins are the nutrients essential for the building and repair of the worn out body parts. And proteins help us to grow new cells for our growth and replace the old cells. That's why growing children, people recovering from an illness and pregnant women need more proteins. Children, do you know that our hair, nails, skin and muscles are made up of mostly of proteins? Wool and silk are also made up of proteins. Okay students, where the proteins come from? The proteins come from the sources of both plant and animals. Plant sources like pulses, corn, soya bean, whole wheat and nuts. And animal sources such as milk, eggs, meat and fish. And the animal proteins are considered better than plant proteins as they are more completely digested by the body. And the soya bean is the best source of plant protein. We cannot store proteins in our bodies. Excess proteins are either broken down and excreted as urea or converted into fats. Proteins can provide us with energy if necessary. However, their main function is to form tissues. These are the foods rich in proteins. Carbohydrates, fats and proteins are called macronutrients. And vitamins and minerals are called micronutrients. Why carbohydrates, fats and proteins are called macronutrients? Because they are required large amounts in the diet. But vitamins and minerals are required small amount in the diet. That's why it is called as micronutrients. And now we'll discuss the next type of nutrient, vitamins. Vitamins are essential for the healthy functioning of the body. Animals cannot manufacture these compounds, so they need to get them from plants. Only minute quantities of these compounds are needed by the body. But if our diet lacks these nutrients, we can fall ill. So for Maintaining good health and normal growth, vitamins are required for our body. Vitamins are required in smaller amounts and thus they are called micronutrients. There are 13 known vitamins are there which can be classified as fat soluble and water soluble. Vitamins such as A, D, E and K are fat soluble and these vitamins are stored in our body for a long time. Water soluble vitamins such as B complex, B1, B2, B12 etc. and vitamin C, they are not stored in our body. And these are the foods rich in vitamins. They are found in carrots, green leafy vegetables, meat and eggs. They are also added to some breakfast cereals. Vitamin C is sensitive to heat and light. Therefore, foods rich in vitamin C should not be cooked but eaten raw. Now we will learn the main difference between the fat-soluble vitamins and water-soluble vitamins. Fat-soluble vitamins dissolve in the fat and therefore they are stored in the fat inside the body for a long time. But water-soluble vitamins dissolve in water and are not stored in the body and have to be regularly consumed as part of one's food. And fat-soluble vitamins are used as and when the body requires them. But the excess consumption of this vitamin is excreted through urine in water-soluble vitamins. Fat-soluble vitamins are A, D, E and K and water-soluble vitamins are vitamin B and C. These are the main difference between the fat-soluble vitamins and water-soluble vitamins. Now we will move to the next nutrient, minerals. Apart from vitamins, minerals too are micronutrients required for important functions such as the formation of bones and teeth and regulating heartbeat. There are around 16 essential minerals are there. Among the 16, some minerals are taken in large quantities. They are called macrominerals, and some minerals are taken in smaller quantities. They are called microminerals. Now we learn the main difference between micromineral and macromineral. Minerals that are required in smaller quantities ranging from microgram to milligram are called microminerals. And macrominerals which are needed in high quantities ranging from milligrams to grams are called macrominerals. Copper, chromium and selenium is the example for micromineral. Calcium, phosphorus and magnesium are example for macromineral. These are the main difference between micro and macrominerals. Children, we know that the 5 types of nutrients found in the food. They are carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins and minerals. Along with these 5 components, dietary fibers and water is most important for our body. Now we will discuss dietary fiber. Dietary fiber is the part of the plant food that cannot be digested or absorbed to produce energy. Even this dietary fiber is not considered a nutrient because it is not absorbed and assimilated into the body but passes out of the body through the phases. Students, what we understand now, dietary fiber is a part of a plant food but it is not digested or absorbed to produce energy. However, it is essential for our body. It is helpful in the prevention of obesity and constipation. These are some of the sources of dietary fiber. It is found in fruits, vegetables, beans, pulses and potatoes with their skin and oats among other foods. This is about dietary fiber. Now we will discuss about water. Students, is water provides energy for our body? No, it does not provide any energy. However, it plays vital role to maintain good health. For the proper functioning of our body, we need the right amount of water. Children, do you know that water accounts for about 70% of the weight of an individual? Human beings have been known to survive without food for over 3 weeks, but they may die in 2 or 3 days without water. We take in water not only directly by drinking, but also as part of the food we eat. Water dissolves the nutrients and transports them to the different parts of the body. It also dissolves waste products which are excreted as urine. And sweat is mostly composed of water. Evaporation of sweat from the skin helps to cool down the body. The amount of water a person needs depends on water losses from the body, consumption of food, the amount of physical activity, and weather. However, World Health Organization recommends that an adult should consume around 1.5 liters of water or 2 to 3 liters of fluids every day to maintain an adequate supply. This amount could be sourced through water, juice, milk, soup, and fruits or vegetables. Excess loss of water from our body leads to dehydration. Dehydration means the deficiency of water in the body is called dehydration. And dehydration can be caused due to vomiting, excessive sweating, or diarrhea. Dehydration can be treated by taking salts in the form of oral rehydration therapy. Children, we can also prepare this oral rehydration salt in our home itself. To prepare this salt, we need salt, sugar, and clean water. Now we will see the process. The process involves mixture of 6 teaspoons of sugar and half a teaspoon of salt in 1 liter of water at frequent intervals. Children, do this exercise. Thank you. We will see in the next class.